The Great Rift Valley of Africa was created amidst violent volcanic activity. Today, there are only a handful of active volcanoes in the rift. But where underground streams meet smoldering subterranean fires, the water boils and erupts at the surface. Over the years, great quantities of sodium carbonate or soda from the caustic volcanic ash have been washed down into the lakes of the Rift Valley floor. These soda lakes and blistering soda flats are deadly. Most animals are wise enough not to venture across them, but those which do soon succumb to the heat and the soda fumes. Yet there is one creature that thrives in millions in this hostile, desolate landscape. This is the flamingo's story, and the burning soda lakes that it's adapted to live in. The great flocks of flamingos are often described as one of the wildlife wonders of the world. But like wondrous things, there's something of a mystery. They can feed in the burning waters and breed round the lake shores. They sometimes occur in millions, but at others, they suddenly seem to disappear. The Rift Valley soda lakes are some of the most inhospitable places on Earth. There are no outlets, so the soda just builds up. The flamingo's main stronghold is the eastern Rift Valley of Africa, a great fault in the Earth's surface that runs 2,000 miles from the Red Sea to East Africa. A chain of soda lakes in Tanzania and Kenya support millions of the birds. In the south, Lakes Natron and Magadi. Lake Naivasha has fresh water and so is unsuitable. But Nakuru, Elementaita and Bogoria are all soda and ideal for flamingos. Lake Bogoria is a very important flamingo refuge because it's never been known to dry out. Water wells up into it from hot springs below. It is about 1.5 miles wide by 9 miles long. It's deceptively attractive, but its concentrated soda waters would burn the skin of anyone swimming in it for long and make anyone who drank it violently ill. The lake lies below the Ngandala escarpment, a massive fault in the eastern wall of the Rift Valley, which was formed by buckling and stressing of the Earth's crust. The flamingos come here by the million and spend all day wading and feeding in the water. The ground trembles as, fired by volcanic activity below, the springs boil and erupt along the lakeshore. All day long, the steam vents, or fumaroles, pour out acid soda steam, tainted with the smell of sulfur. It doesn't seem to bother the flamingos at all. Millions of years of evolution have made them resistant to it. Two species of flamingos are common in the Rift Valley. These are lesser flamingos. They have carmine red beaks, and are about 3 feet in height. They're the smallest members of the family. Living in the same soda lakes are the greater flamingos. They have pastel pink and black bills. At 5 foot, they're almost twice the height of the lessers. This is part of their mating display. But in terms of numbers, the greaters are completely dwarfed by the huge masses of lessers. They're outnumbered by 100 to 1. Flamingos have several features which enable them to thrive in the soda lakes. Their long, scaly legs are resistant to soda burns, and their webbed feet are ideal for paddling in the shallows and swimming in deeper waters. When they upend like ducks and paddle hard, they can get their heads right down to the bottom. Here, they feed on microscopic organisms called diatoms, which grow in the soda mud. But their main food is a microscopic plant, a blue-green algae called spirulina. Flamingos spend hours swinging their heads from side to side in a scything motion, apparently drinking the lethal soda liquor. What they're doing is filtering the water to extract the blue-green algae, which at times grow in such abundance in Lake Bogoria that they color the surface waters a lurid green. To extract diatoms and the algae, the lesser flamingo has evolved one of the most efficient filter feeding systems of any bird in the world. Here, the algae have been magnified many times. 50 of these spring-shaped spirulina would fit on a pinhead. They're plants that depend on sunlight, and in the right conditions, they flourish in the burning soda waters. Their protein content is very high, so they're very nutritious. The flamingo's bill, which is used upside down, is its most specialized adaptation. The upper mandible fits closely into the lower mandible. The tongue lies in a groove inside and works like a piston in a pump, rapidly drawing water in and out as the flamingo swings its head through the algal soup. As the water is expelled, the food is caught in lines of extremely fine bristles which cover the inner surface of both mandibles. In this way, the birds sieve off the algae without drinking the soda broth. The huge flocks eat hundreds of tons of spirulina every day, but the numbers of the algae tend to fluctuate from month to month. If it drops below a certain concentration, the flamingo flocks have to feed elsewhere. But for the moment, there's plenty for all. The flamingo's legs and plumage have a remarkable ability to resist the burning effect of the soda, but they still like to wash it off from time to time. This is the Gurassian Delta at Lake Bogoria, where a freshwater spring seeps in from the hills. It's only a trickle of fresh water, but it's enough to attract thousands of flamingos every day. In a flamingo population of millions, some birds are bound to suffer from injury or from disease, and a number die every day. Sacred ibis are attracted by the corpses and the insects which gather around them. The tawny eagle is here to scavenge too. It's no threat, but flamingos are wary of all birds of prey. Fish eagles regularly take immature birds. When they feel threatened, flamingos instinctively take to the air to escape. Getting airborne is quite an effort. Lesser flamingos weigh around 3 3/4 pounds. For a bird, this is a fair weight to get airborne. Once in the air, flamingos are efficient flyers. It's been calculated that at the peak of condition, they can fly up to 2,000 miles without feeding. This is vital because if their food supplies fail for any reason, they sometimes have to cover great distances between one lake and another. When they're widely dispersed over many lakes, they're not as conspicuous. This is one reason why the population can apparently disappear from the rift. Another is that they sometimes migrate to southern Africa, Namibia and Botswana, where they may stay for several months at a time. No one knows exactly why they leave, but in some locations it could be due to human influences. This is Lake Nakuru, a soda lake 50 miles to the south of Lake Bogoria. During the 1960s and early 70s, Nakuru's shoreline was densely packed with flamingos. Then suddenly, the numbers of birds visiting the lake fell drastically. It may have been part of a natural cycle associated with rising and falling water levels, but pollution was thought to be a contributing factor. Once there was almost no pelicans at Nakuru because there were no fish. But to control the mosquitoes in the fresher streams, a highly adaptable fish called Tilapia grahami was artificially introduced. The fish thrived in the soda water and multiplied rapidly. Pelicans and cormorants soon lined the shores, taking over from the flamingos which almost deserted the lake. A lack of spirulina may have been the problem. It could have been a natural phenomenon or caused by pollution. The fish may have been eating so much spirulina that it can't really build up and bloom in sufficient quantities to support the great flocks of flamingos. Today, there are tighter controls on pollution, and the flamingos have returned. At the moment, all of the Rift Valley soda lakes have normal numbers of the birds, but the drastic decline at Nakuru made everyone aware of just how vulnerable the birds are. Nakuru and Bogoria were made into national parks many years ago, so present and future generations can marvel at both the volcanic displays and this wildlife spectacular. At Lake Bogoria, the flamingos gorge themselves on the highly nutritious spirulina. The birds build up reserves of fat, sometimes doubling their body weight. This is vital if they are to breed successfully. As the birds mass in by the shore, they're very closely packed together. But when they start their breeding display, they close ranks even more. It's quite the most amazing, if slightly ludicrous-looking display, with the flamingos holding their necks alternatively at full upward stretch and then bent down in the broken neck position. The display is known as the flamingo stomp, a term coined by the late Leslie Brown, who did a great deal of research on flamingos. The display reminded him of a dance called the stomp, where slightly intoxicated men got into a huddle to the rhythm of calypso music. Soon after the stomping, nest building begins. Strangely, the birds never actually breed here, so nest building is rather a futile exercise. The mounds are constructed out of soda mud, which is collected in the birds' bills and piled layer upon layer until it's about 18 inches high. The nests are cleverly designed. The mound draws up water from below, which evaporates from the side as it rises and cools the top of the nest. This means that in principle the egg won't overheat, which is important since ground temperature is well above 100. Both partners share in the nest building and defend the nest site. The mysterious thing is that despite all their efforts, the flamingos seldom raise any young here. They sometimes build thousands of nest mounds, but for some reason they don't use them. Where they go to breed was a mystery for a very long time. The flamingos might fly thousands of miles and nest on almost any soda lake where there are suitable mudflats. Researchers believe that birds with good body fat reserves make reconnaissance flights at night to other soda lakes in the rift to scout for spirulina and also for nest sites. Then try to find a soda lake where the conditions are just right. If they find these, then they'll tend to stay there. The place they usually nest is 180 miles south of Bogoria. It's in the middle of the most foul, fetid soda lake of all, Lake Natron. In his attempts to reach the site on foot, the scientist Leslie Brown suffered so badly from heat exhaustion and skin burns that he almost lost his life. The flamingos choose this site because they're safe from disturbance of any kind. treacherous soda flats made filming at Lake Natron virtually impossible. But some of the flamingos also breed around the more accessible Lake Magadi, the soda lake just north of Natron. Magadi is lower and much hotter than Bogoria. The lake evaporates rapidly during the dry season, and the water becomes supersaturated with soda. In the intense heat, soda crystals form a thick crust. Despite the severe conditions, the birds started building in July. Here the nests are solid soda. There's no mud at this site. Flamingo parents share the incubation of their single egg until it hatches some 28 days after laying. Here, around 750,000 chicks emerged into the harsh white world of soda. Ground temperatures are about 140 degrees. When the chicks left their nest to take their first rather shaky steps on the lake bed, many became encrusted with soda and died. But about 400,000 survived and fledged. When they were about a week old, the chicks ganged up together in nursery groups or creches of several thousand each. Some of the parents stood guard, while the others were away feeding. We now understand much more about lesser flamingos and their dependence on the sporadic blooms of spirulina. For the present, at least, the protection given to their burning soda havens ensures the survival of this wildlife wonder of the world.
More winged wonders tomorrow night at the same time. Botswana is our destination, the fish eagle our subject.